Hey, Julien, what are we doing?
Oh, God. No. We can't start every video like that. That's not a thing. Okay.
Hey, guys, it's your boys, the Hungover Brothers.
And welcome to the Hungover Podcast, episode 126. I'm one of your hosts, Julien, alongside
Ivan, and we're bringing to you some high-quality, pristine action that has been recycled from a previous podcast that was only played by a few people, but now we're bringing it to the screens of millions, thanks to YouTube, and also to your earbuds on iTunes, SoundCloud, etc. But
Also-
before we get into the topic of the show, which is video game movies, hence the preamble that I just said to everybody, which now makes way more sense, we're going to talk about what we consumed.
You sound so excited to do this podcast, Ivan. No, also,
I forgot I wasn't standing.
That's
Hold on.
That's it.
Let me
That's
just-
it. Okay, this is gonna be great. He's rise.
Difficult for the thighs, my quads.
See, this is why you gotta watch the YouTube video, everyone, because then you can watch Ivan slowly rise to the top. Just
I
like our
ruined the
YouTube
joke
channel.
immediately because I did not match when I was just standing up. So
Also,
fuck
I gotta tell you, Ivan, we hit another milestone. 120 subscribers on YouTube. Thank you so much for subscribing to our YouTube channel, all 120 of you. I know 3 of which are me, 2 of which are Ivan, and whoever knows who else. The rest of you guys are cool. But I gotta tell you also, have you been listening to any podcasts recently since everyone has decided to start social distancing?
Yes.
Now, why is it that all podcast audio quality has gone out the shitter? Have you listened to a
It's
podcast?
because I think people are recording. Most people don't have our recording setup, so they don't have this mic.
I know,
here.
But I figured that if you're, a lot of the podcasts I listen to, part of their job is to podcast, right? So wouldn't you have that equipment somewhere? I don't know. I understand.
It's possible. The other thing is a lot of people are doing podcasts via Zoom.
Yeah.
Or other video chatting services, and aren't like we do with our high quality podcast.
Well, I think our audio is certainly better than some podcasts right now because they're all recording off their laptop mic or something like that.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I just wanted.
It's echoey. It's delayed. Yeah. It's in the wrong room. Like I get some reverb in here because I need to install.
Your room is so
like
small.
the sound panels or whatever, and I just have been too lazy to because I thought I was going to move out of this apartment
Now's the
3 different times. I'm just gonna stay here forever.
Might as well.
Have I noticed it that much? No, I don't think I've noticed it that much for most of the podcasts that I listen to. But for some of them where they would usually be able to grab audio from a call, like a phone call to a hard line, and now they were taking it off of a Zoom or something like that, then it was terribly degraded.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'm not blaming them. I understand.
No, fuck
We're
those
all in
people.
this
Fuck their
situation,
technological inadequacies.
I mean, I don't want them to have if their job provides them with the audio recording equipment. I get it. They're not at their job workplace right now, so it is what it is. But I'm just saying these people are on the top of the podcast realm, and we're on the bottom, and our podcast sounds better than their podcast. Can we get a little flipsy-do here? Can we go to the top of the rating, please?
The middle. Can we
please
get
subscribe
in the middle
to Hungover
somewhere?
Podcast. That's what I'm trying to say. That's all I'm saying. Our podcast audio is clear
Julian just
and
bought
audible.
a brand new arm so that he could actually put his mic upside down in his room, which I know he's wanted to do forever.
I didn't buy the arm. I bought a new mic. So it actually works
so
with the same... My other mic I had dropped... Well, the other mic was so old. It was one of the first gen Blue Yetis. And then they made this nice shock mount that's supposed to work with it. But turns out it had the wrong fitting in the little screw. The screw that screws in is the wrong size for the oldest Blue Yetis. So the one that you bought, for instance, the one that you bought, the silver,
the Blue Yeti that I had before this Yeti X.
That would work with this, and that's the same one I just bought. And now
I did have this on the shock mount, and I actually have this on a shock mount, though I don't have it flipped over.
Nice. Yeah, well, you don't have to have it flipped over. It's actually kind of nice because it's out of the way, and I don't even have to ever move it because it's just completely out of the way. I actually like it like this, so I understand.
I like my setup. Because the Yeti X is significantly lighter than the Blue. Mm-hmm. I can actually move this arm into multiple positions, and it doesn't, fall over like it's France in any of the world wars.
Well, France. We hate Boston, and now France. Let's keep adding to the list. So, anyways, enough with the rigmarole there. I just had some things to get off my chest, podcast audio in France.
I mean, we both listen to, I think, a lot of audio podcasts.
Yeah.
So it's something that we do consume. It's just not that interesting, and we don't want you turning off of our podcast to go listen to their podcast. So
please. Well, I think you probably have enough time during the day to listen to our podcast as well. But we will move on to
I've heard that analytics say that podcasts actually have gone down.
Oh, really?
Because people aren't commuting as much.
That would make sense. Well, anyways, Discord is designed to make Ivan very pixelated. We'll see if that changes halfway through this video. Anyways, the point is they're throttling our internet, and I understand. And you'll all have to understand as well. The point is, Ivan, what have I been consuming? As this is our beginning segment. Now it's clearing up because we got back on topic. I think that's really what happened.
Discord's
oh God, it's going away because we're going.
Wrap it up.
So anyways, like I was saying, there's been a little game came out called Final Fantasy VII Remake. Holy crap, I can't believe it actually came, or part 1. I can't believe it actually came out. And let me tell you, it's really good. Ivan, this is a great game. I think even you should get this game. The action is the combat system is so good in this game. I think it's a really great way to modernize the turn-based action from Final Fantasy VII. Because it's not turn-based anymore. But there are menus that you can. Okay, so in Final Fantasy VII, we're gonna go down a long road here. Final Fantasy VII had the active time gauge, I guess ATB they call it, active time battle. And when that bar filled up, then your character can make a move on can select a magic or attack or whatever, defend. And then that's basically how the battle played out. In this game, it's all, square is your attack. Your triangle move has, basically it's dependent on the character. Cloud can switch stances. So he has both a stance where he can move around quickly and attack quickly, or he has the stance called Punisher, where he can basically, if he blocks certain attacks, then he can parry them. And then he also does stronger attacks that are slower. So that's a cool switch up. And then basically you can, when you're attacking, you fill up your ATB gauge. Cloud has 2, or at least in the part that I'm at. I don't know if you can increase that amount. And when you have a gauge to spend, then you can use magic, for instance. So if I wanted to cast Fire or Fire Fira, or the stronger level of Fire, I would need at least 1 ATB gauge to spend. So if I don't have any ATB gauge to spend, then I have to attack the enemy or get hit. I think it fills up if you get hit as well. And so, but when you're selecting your magic or an item, it also works for items in that way. So if you want to use a potion on yourself, you have to have an ATB gauge. And if you want to, so what was I? Basically, if you want to use an item or a magic, it goes into like a slow-mo menu. The time still moves forward, but at a very slow pace, so you can decide. It's almost like turn-based at that point. So it's kind of cool in that way. You play as one character at a time, but you can switch to Barret or Tifa whenever you want in the battle, as long as they're in your team. And so that's really cool.
Barrett's looking pretty cool. I haven't seen Tifa.
Is pretty fucking... Oh, Tifa. Tifa. Oh, man. You thought Tifa looked good when she was all pixelated in Final Fantasy VII. God damn, she looks great. And they obviously made them, Tifa and Aerith, these super cute, like all their mannerisms and cutscenes are like super over the top anime cute girl like character, like and like like they make
just how you usually are in regular life.
Basically that's exactly what they're like. It's amazing. The only gripe I have with it is that I want more action in the game. There are some side quests, so they basically, I think, not necessarily artificially lengthen the game by adding all these not like there's a lot, but there's some fetch, like gather all the kids in the town side quests where you're not really doing anything, but that side quest led to another one where I got to fight something, which was super cool. So, I mean, so far I'm having fun doing the side quest, but I can see it becoming a slog. The other thing I have a problem with, I'm playing on base PS4, and I hear this game might come to PC, by the way. I'm playing on base PS4, and I can clearly tell that some textures are clearly blurry on base PS4. I would definitely say they spent the most time making sure the main characters look really great. So Cloud, Tifa, Barret, Aerith, all the main characters, some of the the Turks are part of the game. They're like maybe bad guys. I don't really. It's questionable.
They're a people, a race of people who live in Turkey.
Yes, that too. All the enemies look great. All the main characters look great. All the action looks great. But all the NPCs that aren't main characters to the storyline, so side quest characters that give you side quests, look like shit. They all have like, and again, I think this might be a texture issue from the PS4. If you're playing it just on base PS4 in 1080p, with the limited amount of memory and RAM and graphics processing power that the base PS4 has, a machine that came out in 2013, mind you, I think, or 2014, who knows? It has, those characters look a little off, to say the least. They don't look as good as Cloud or Tifa.
I definitely got mine in 2014.
Okay, so then it probably came out in 2013 then. Yeah, so I think maybe PS4 Pro can load the textures on some signs a little quicker or better. And then obviously if the game comes to PC, which I think it is, it's going to look great on that, I think. The other problem I have is with... and this is something something I had a problem with up until this generation, was syncing the mouth with the voice. Mm-hmm. It doesn't look right in this game. And obviously it was written in Japanese and all the voice acting was dubbed in Japanese, but the voice, like, modern games have come to the point where in cutscenes, except for like Bethesda games and like super open world games like that, typically when you're in a cutscene and you're talking and the character's talking, the mouth now anyways after 2013, the mouth pretty like believably syncs up with the voice.
Right.
This just looks like they're like bah, 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 bah. It looks really bad. I think it
Like a
totally throws
Muppet.
me off. And even on the main characters like Cloud and Tifa and Barrett, I haven't had a problem with, but like the characters who have more lines. Barrett just has a couple lines so far, but Tifa has a lot of lines and Aerith has a lot of lines. You can see if you look closely enough. This is something that just it it throws you off. So this is why like it doesn't work. So the flow of the cutscenes doesn't work that well if it's just like the mouth isn't matching what's being said. I always have a problem with that. But otherwise, they've really fleshed out the story. All the environments look so super cool. It's really great to see. This is like a true remake. It's absolutely amazing. This game is probably going to be like a Game of the Year contender if they have the Game of the Year awards this year. They might have a digital event, but this game is truly amazing. I highly suggest you pick it up if you have a PS4, and I also definitely suggest you guys go play the original. It's very, if you have a PS4, you can download it on
It's
on
fun.
that. If you Switch, the original is really good, and you would understand this game a lot more. I think they added a lot of weird, like there's this weird storyline with these there's like ghosts in the game. I know, okay, minor spoilers, whatever. But it sort of reminds me a lot of Kingdom Hearts in a way. So they're going a weird route with the story, but it's still following obviously the main storyline of Final Fantasy VII. Basically the game is I think it's only going to take part until if you've played the first game, the original game, you leave Midgar at a certain point. And I think
yes, of course.
That's the point. Vaughn knows. That's the point in which this game ends, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's the situation. So there are main storyline events to hit, and those events are all really over the top amazing. And like the music is super great in this game too. It's like I got goosebumps, man. Just listening. It's like a really great reimagining of the original themes in the game. I think they got the Tokyo. They must have had some Philharmonic orchestra record this because it's a full orchestra playing the music. That's and cool. It's also really dynamic, the music. So it was really written well for this game. It started like it ramps up if you're doing something really intense. It dies down if it's in between a battle. These things, it just flows really well. The game is really well made. There's just some minor gripes I have with it, but that's to be expected because this game took a million years to come out. It's just what it is. But other than that, I'm really happy with that game.
Like the 2 years that I had since starting the original Final Fantasy VII would be like just a drop in the bucket before the next one came out. But no, turns out wasn't able to finish it.
Well, you're working on The Last of Us. I think we might try to do a Let's Play for this game on our YouTube channel. I would actually be excited about that. It's a fun game. I'm having a good time. I've been playing more Animal Crossing as well. I also listened to the new Gorillaz song. They released the third in their Song Machine album. I think it's an album. Or basically they're releasing a song per month.
Over the course of the year, right?
Yeah, I think so.
That's
and this song is really cool. Sorry. I thought they were originally going to do, based off the first two songs, I thought they were going to do sort of like a tour of European music. So they had like the English punk rock sort of song to start it off. They had a song in French, the next one, and then this one is more, I would say it's a lot more mellow, and it's more like American rock, I think. Anyways, it's kind of hard to describe. it's hard to describe their music in general. They're sort of in like their own genre, but I do like the Gorillaz a lot. I highly suggest you go check it out. It's a cool music video as well. They always have cool music videos because they're a quote unquote virtual band, so they have animated characters to personal impersonate them. What's the word? To represent each member of the band. Avatars. Yeah, they have their own avatars. It's really cool. But they've always had those characters, so I mean, who the hell am I to talk about the Gorillaz? And so, there's some crazy storyline that people in the comments are trying to find out. I'm like, I don't give a fuck about that. They're just, it's a cool band, and they have cool music videos. What more do you want? Anyways, that's about it for me. How about you, Ivan?
I was catching up with several different things. I saw War Dogs for the first
War
time.
Dogs.
Todd
What is
Phillips,
that?
who directed Joker most recently, also directed War Dogs.
Did
which
we
was
review Joker? Did you see that?
I did see it.
Okay.
I rode my bike and I watched it at the same time.
Oh, you were like, what? How do you do that?
I have an indoor bike trainer, so I can set it up and whatever.
Nice.
So War Dogs is a movie that centrals on two young Jewish men. One is played by Jonah Hill. The other one is played by Miles Teller.
Is this a serious movie?
It's a dark comedy.
Oh, it's okay. Because I cannot see Jonah Hill at all playing a serious role. I will always laugh at that man. He's hilarious. I think he's really funny. What?
Moneyball. If you haven't seen Moneyball, that's a serious role. It's a more lighthearted
can't take
movie.
Him seriously. You cannot take that guy seriously.
He's kind of like over the top-ish version of himself in this movie as well.
Oh, yeah.
And he's fat Jonah Hill, like he's meant to look fat.
Did he gain weight for the role?
I don't know if it was for the role, but it was, at the time when Jonah Hill was fluctuating between really heavy.
Oh, is this it's an older movie?
Yeah, it is an older movie.
Okay. So then he would be fat. Yeah, he might be fat in that movie. I don't know.
Yeah. So it centers around these two Jewish guys who are
perfect for Jonah Hill.
who become arms dealers.
Oh, cool.
Ana de Armas is also in it, and she's just a fantastic person to look at.
Okay.
Did you see Knives Out?
No.
I highly recommend Knives Out, but she was the star of Knives Out. She was also in Blade Runner 2049 as the projection.
Still need to see that movie.
Oh my god, it's so good. Anyway, regardless,
because everything,
doesn't really matter, but it's a really intriguing political movie. It talks about these two guys and basically how arms dealing became a wild, wild west after the debacle where Dick Cheney's Halliburton guys got no bid contracts. Mm-hmm. And these guys basically tried to hoodwink the government on a $300 million arms deal.
Nice.
That was supposed to supply the Afghani army for like 10 years or something like that. Anyway, it was pretty funny, pretty good. It's clearly over the top and less factual as the movie goes on, but it has an interesting premise, and I think Todd Phillips is a pretty astute dark comedy director. Cool. So it looks visually appealing as well. Plus, Ana de Armas I could just look at. But after having
beautiful.
After having made movies, and like there are only 4 really main characters in this film, so I was like, all right, they had Bradley Cooper for 3 days. They had Ana de Armas for like a week, maybe.
That's hilarious.
And I was just like thinking it through, because I would give it a B+ probably as far as movies go. It's a fine stay-at-home movie. I also subscribed to HBO Now for the first time in a long time, because there were so many HBO series that I wanted to watch. Like Westworld Season 3 is popping off right now. I realized that I hadn't seen Westworld Season 2.
No,
so I'm going back to see Season 2 and then going to Season 3.
That's pretty sweet. You got a lot of time.
Yeah. I also wanted to check out some other series and Curb Your Enthusiasm season 10. I watched the first couple episodes. Curb Your Enthusiasm is hilarious. Newsflash. Just bringing all these old shows into the new. Just things that I had never seen.
Yeah, I was talking about Final Fantasy VII, so I mean,
yeah, but at least the remake
free.
is brand new. But Curb, absolutely hilarious. Go figure. And then in terms of games, I just bought. I was quickly bored with every game that I owned.
Surprise.
Right. I've
Just
been
play
enjoying
Overwatch.
playing Call of Duty Warzone with
Nice.
a group of people. That was really fun. Echo just came out in Overwatch, but I haven't even touched Overwatch this week because I on Monday got food poisoning pretty badly, and I'm just recovering today. So
I refuse to queue in DPS. It's too long. It's too long of a wait to play a character I don't know how to play. How is anyone going to get good as Echo? Do you know how much time they have to invest? Not playing the game? Because they're going to invest some time playing the game, but they're going to invest more time waiting to play the game. I guess they can play deathmatch.
That's where you get multiple accounts, multiple instances.
And just queue it up.
Yeah.
5 computers in a row. Forget bit mining. You have to have 5 graphics cards to play 5 versions of Overwatch on the same computer. Bitcoin mining.
So we'll get into Echo. I think probably by next week we'll have played enough of Echo to have some sort of grasp on that character.
Yeah, sure.
And then Warzone is fun. I'm gonna start playing Resident Evil 2, I think.
Oh, you got that?
Yeah.
It's a great game. Fantastic game.
Stream it, or I might suggest that we just do like full plays of it, like not super edited videos, but just like hour-long basically like a walkthrough video.
Yeah, sure. Something
styled like that. I don't know. People need lots of content right now, and people are running out of it. So
we can do the Final Fantasy VII one. We'll do Discord on my phone. I'll make sure it's charged. I also need to find a headset that will work with it. That was probably the real problem. I don't have a headset because Apple got rid of the headphone jack on phones. And wouldn't you know it, I lost the converter and also the headset that worked with it that I never used. And if I want to use...
So just everything that could go wrong has
Yeah,
gone wrong.
I have a Bluetooth headset, but it's a...
What about your laptop or another laptop or something?
Yeah, that'll work. I'll use my other laptop. My only laptop.
Because you can't use the fucking phone.
I don't know why it won't work. I have all of these headphone ports on this one computer. It doesn't fucking work. I hate everything.
Why do computers have to be so complicated?
I don't know. Anyways, Vaughn, we thought we'd do a light, unless you have more to talk about.
No, I just transitioned it in saying that I'm going to start also replaying XCOM 2,
Nice.
War of the Chosen, which I've never played.
It's coming to Switch.
No, I already bought it. No, I'm not buying it again.
Dude, it's coming to Switch. You could play it while playing other games. That's all.
But in fact, one of the games that I think the universe would translate well into film is XCOM, because I think it's just basically Independence Day meets like Tactical SWAT or something like that, you know? So Uncharted is never going to come out as a movie because no director is ever going to direct it, but people keep talking about it as if it is. It's Nathan Drake movie. So
yeah, there's a lot of big names behind it, right?
What would happen, or what would need to happen to have a good video game movie? And has any video game movie done justice to the video game? And more to Julian's point than anything else is there a reason that there should ever be a video game movie?
I don't think so. I think okay. I mean, my perspective on it is that these stories are meant to be told through gameplay, usually, and gameplay is a huge part of telling these stories in the game universe that you're playing in, right? Mm-hmm. The whole reason you are so connected with Nathan Drake, for instance, I guess, the Uncharted universe, the Uncharted cinematic universe, God damn it, is because the games are fun to play and you spend a lot of time playing the game. You spend, I don't know, 20 hours playing each game, and they're able to, reward you in your gameplay with a cutscene. In a way, I think that's generally how cutscenes are viewed. They're like, oh, this is a special part of the game, and they wanted to tell the story in a more cinematic way, even though the gameplay is quite cinematic.
I think especially with Uncharted, the thing that's weird about Uncharted is like, the whole premise of the Uncharted series is like, how do we take the feeling that you get from watching Indiana Jones and turn that into a video game? And then they're like, let's turn this video game that feels like you're in a movie into a movie.
It's like taking a sentence in English, translating Google Translate to a different language and translating it back. It's a completely different sentence. That's exactly what's gonna happen when this happens, if it happens. I like assure
eggs, but I like also chicken. But what if you put chicken into your omelet?
No! Can't take the eggs out of the chicken, put the chicken's leg. Who made that joke? It's one of those white collar. No, it's I got it from a comedian. You can't take the eggs out of the chicken, put the chicken in the eggs. It's like what's Ron White? You know, okay. Like that whole crew
Call Me
of
Tater Salad.
There we go.
Larry Cable, the Cable guy.
Cable guy. It's not
Foxworthy.
Cable guy. He just says "get her done," but I think it was Ron White,
and then Bill Purcell.
Maybe it wasn't these people, but I think so. Yeah, that's the third guy. That was a whole thing in the early 2000s, huh?
Yeah, dude. Here's your side.
They were big. They were pretty funny. I like them. But anyways,
the Cable guy had a video game, by the way.
I wonder if they're gonna make that into a movie too. I think the primary way that video games are interesting is that it's an interactive medium, and if you take that away from the video game, I don't think you have much of an entertaining thing. So that's why I think...
But is it possible, because... So the reverse seems to be possible, where people have a movie and then you translate it into a video game and people enjoy
which
that.
Game is... Which one?
A movie turned into a good video game? I don't know.
Most
I thought people
licensed
liked the Mad
video
Max
games.
Video game.
That game was... Yeah, but it also... Okay, so then... Yeah, I guess
think people
some
enjoyed
people
playing like the Harry Potter games. I don't know if they were great games, but they were massively popular, I think.
They probably were. But also Harry Potter was a book, so what are you...
So, right, but books what are they made into movies, so they're...
Is that
so my
too many degrees of separation there?
Yeah, what's my idea... I guess the central thesis of what I'm trying to say is there just an inflexibility in taking a medium that is ultimately so far under your control of how you play the game, how you interact with the game, and then porting it to somebody else's vision, direction, and focus, that it's impossible to go from one to the next?
I don't think it's impossible, but I have yet to see it being done well, in my opinion. I think. I have seen few video game movies, and I have no desire to, because I don't know, because I really think it's like if they're just trying to tell the same story, which is generally the idea, I think, then I don't think it can be done. But I think it can be done. I think one of the criterias is that you have to tell a different story in the same universe, I guess. Like, it can't be the story of Uncharted 1 for this fucking movie. If it is, or bits and pieces from 1, 2, and 3, and 4, I don't think you can do that. I think that it was already told in those games the way that it was designed to be told. The
Right.
way, which is have the player interact with the game and then get the story to move forward through the game. I don't think that it can be done much in the same way and please everyone. If they try to tell it through whoever's writing this movie, which I have apparently it's got to be Neil Druckmann, man. Come on, this guy has been yearning to write a movie after The Last of Us. Come on,
I mean,
I
the
think
alternative
that they actually
for doing
are.
that is just you make your video game into a movie with interspersed game parts, like the Metal Gear series. Which is, I think,
That's so
the closest that we can get to having a good video game movie.
It's just Metal Gear Solid. No, but I mean, Metal Gear Solid, though, has some really awesome gameplay. To be like, all of the boss fights are so much fun to play, even though they're just like clunky controls, and I don't even really understand why it has a fixed camera. It's just really, it's still, once you get your head around how the game controls, it's really a fun game. Even though it's got obtuse controls compared to modern video games and even games of the time, because it was such a different game from most of the games that were coming out during the time each game came out, right? Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, and 3. And 4 is a whole separate thing, I think. It tried to... in terms of gameplay, I loved it, but I think it was
one
my
of the favorite
best,
out of the
if not
entire
the best.
series.
Yeah, because it had a somewhat palatable, like comparable gameplay control scheme to modern video games, right? And the Metal Gear Solid 5 had the same, like, totally modernized control scheme. But
That's the one I
it's...
never played.
I think it's worth playing. You have it, dude.
I do.
It's a good game. But yeah, the cutscenes are movies, right? They're longer than movies if you add them all up. And I think that Kojima really secretly wants to make movies. So if he can do both in Metal Gear Solid, then why not? I don't know. Or Death Stranding, which had some pretty long cutscenes towards the end. So, and that game I think was the best when it wasn't trying to be a game, actually. Or it wasn't trying to be like other games. That game was super unique in that it was basically just a walking simulator or a hiking simulator, but then it had some parts of the game where it tried to be a shooting game, and those parts were not very good. I like the characters and the story, and what it was trying to be told during those shooting sequences, but it was, the shooting controls were actually pretty bad, so the game sort of fell apart during those sequences. But the rest of the game is when it was really great. I mean, when you're just walking, carrying these packages.
The immersive aspect of the environment and the narrative-driven kind of gameplay style.
Right, and trying to translate that over to a movie when it's so dependent on what you're doing with the controller, I think is difficult or impossible. I think,
do you think
translating
that it would
the
be
controller
possible then to
the screen,
a non-traditional movie that would is the only way to translate like the story of a video game, to do it in something that's non-linear or non-traditional, like something either in the path of like Hardcore Henry, where everything is like first person.
Oh yeah, that was
or
nuts. That movie was cool, actually.
Or
was a
is
good
there a
idea.
way to do it in like the Bandersnatch way?
I didn't
What's it
see
called?
that.
Black Mirror Bandersnatch. So Black Mirror Bandersnatch was a kind of like a choose your own adventure style movie where
I
you can
heard about
watch
that.
it, but
That
you
was
can
on
do it.
Netflix, right?
Yeah, you can take different paths to get
I
through
think
the film.
well, I heard people really like that, right? Didn't they?
I personally never watched it because I'm mildly against it in terms.
I think
But
that's
I
a
should
cool
probably
idea.
experience it before I'm totally against it.
Yeah. I think
Um,
that's a cool idea. I think that I mean basically there are some games that are just that essentially. Like a lot of the Walking Dead games, right?
the
What are they
Telltale
called? Yeah, the
series.
Telltale series are essentially that. I mean, there's some gameplay in it, but um, for
They're
all
all of the
intents and
Japanese
purposes.
like not play novels or
Oh
whatever.
yeah,
Whereas
exactly. So I mean, if you're already doing that, I think that's a one way to do it. I think I mean I did say before we were talking that I mean I wasn't like an amazing like fan of the new of the Detective Pikachu movie. But I think that's one way to do it. I think that was definitely the best attempt of recent knowledge of video
I
game
didn't
movie.
see Sonic the Hedgehog the movie.
Nikki and I were gonna watch it, but we got we didn't. We just watched a YouTube video instead. I think we probably made the right choice. But I heard that
I attempted to watch it. I told the story on the podcast.
yeah,
of how
it's a great story.
I was prevented of
What
from watching
episode
Sonic
is
the
that on?
Hedgehog. That was like 4 episodes ago.
120, let's say. Go
Yeah.
back and listen to that if you got the time, which I hope you
It
all
was a
do.
20-minute long story. It's great.
It's a great story. But I think that the Detective Pikachu was actually a really great attempt at it, and I think that if it's done with let's say a more engaging I love Pokemon, don't get me wrong. But like maybe in a more engaging story
Yeah, I think
line or
the
story
thing that
universe
was
with
wrong, or the thing that fell flat for me with that movie was just like the final third of the movie.
Mhm.
Like I think introducing the world and just like immersing the audience into the thing about Pokemon, right, is like they're always talking about there are Pokemon everywhere and everything,
Yeah.
but they can't describe how everything looks and feels, how a modern city works
Right.
in conjunction with the two. And this movie did so much of that world building of really just displaying how people get attached to them, how Pokemon function in the world. I think that was really grasping.
Yeah.
And
I
then
thought that was true.
You introduce Ryan Reynolds, and he's super charismatic, and the actor who played the main protagonist partnered with Pikachu.
Yeah, he wasn't bad either.
I thought they were fine, and their chemistry was great. And then the plot was moving forward, and I just think that the plot was super dumb, you know?
Yeah, exactly. So
I think that that's where it fell flat, but I don't think that I think that that's not a video game movie plot hole. I think that's just like a structural problem that could have been addressed.
when you're talking about a franchise like Pokemon, though, I mean, these are right. If we compare like Pokemon to The Last of Us, let's say, uh, there's a lot more fan base that's excited about Pokemon, and so therefore they're probably more likely to make the Pokemon movie. But Pokemon has a pretty dumb story, right? The storyline of Pokemon is not as gripping as The Last of Us, I would say.
Right.
And my point is that these franchises from really long ago, right? Pokemon's 30 years old, I think, soon, or maybe they already had their 30th anniversary. I can't remember. I think 96. So no, I'm not 30. So yet. so so they're coming up on their 30th anniversary, right? So like games that have the super long franchise that they're more likely to make a movie about because there's more of a fan base they probably don't have they haven't developed as much of a story. They have sort of the most basic ass story, like a Mario movie. Like Mario saves Princess Peach every fucking game, and that's the story. Bowser steals her, and they're like, where do you go with that story? How do you make a story about that? But The Last of Us, or Uncharted, or like Fallout, let's say, or what's a Skyrim. I don't know. These are
BioShock.
Really BioShock, right? These are more modern games, and they've taken the time to write really engaging stories in the game. So I could see those the people that wrote those stories, if they can write Halo. I don't even know if Halo is a good story. I don't know anything. I've played all the games. I know nothing about the story, dude.
I was learning about the story as I was watching a gameplay from a game I had already beaten. And I was just like, that's what happens? That's what they're talking about?
The Arbiters? Who? What? What did he do? Exactly. So, I mean, my point is, if video games have stupid storylines to begin with, like, does Doom have a good story? I don't know. It probably doesn't. You're just Doom guy and you fucking kill everything.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. Maybe someone read the expanded universe Doom book and is like yelling at us right now.
Does Dark Souls have a good story? No, but people
apparently
claim
it does.
People claim it does.
And I fucking love that game though. So, but that's the thing about video game. You can take a really dumb story, like Saving the Princess, or like a really played out story like Saving the Princess, and make it super engaging, and make Mario games about it, and where the gameplay is the game. And right. So that's what I really like about video games. Or you can take Pokemon, right? I fucking love Pokemon because I love crushing 10-year-old souls in that game, you know, because I play them online and they suck, and I beat them every fucking time because I know how to EV train Pokemon. And that's how they make the game engaging, through gameplay. So I don't see the necessity to make it into a movie, but I mean, a lot of people apparently want the movies.
Everybody wants to be making that money through the movies.
Also, that too.
I think. But there have been some surprising movies that have come about and been fairly successful from really mundane things that you wouldn't think had the possibility of translating. Like, for instance, the Clue movie, the old one with...
I remember it.
Tim... The British dude who died a few years ago. That was an incredibly engaging movie. And also very smart, very funny. Took a lot of the aspects of the game where, like, people were proposing how the murder happened, and then
Tim Curry.
Tim Curry. Yeah,
he
and
died.
Then running it back. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he passed. Maybe not, but I'm pretty sure he did.
No, he's still alive.
No, he's still alive. Okay,
73.
Totally didn't. Haven't seen
Born
him
in
stuff
68.
lately.
Well, he's 73, man.
Let me take that back. Oh.
Timothy James Curry.
Anyway, so there we go. Tim Curry's still alive, everyone. News update.
Who's the guy in It?
Bill Skarsgård.
Oh, why did I think Tim Curry was...
Tim Curry was in the original It.
Oh, that's why.
The It miniseries. And that was made in 90.
Okay, that's why I thought he was in It. Because he is. All right.
I think Clue is awesome. I think the Lego movie, which everybody was like, what the fuck is this going to be? And then turned out, I thought, to be pretty good.
Everything is awesome.
Yeah. I think it really depends on having a really clear...
But did you see the Tetris movie?
I did not see the Tetris movie.
That came out.
Did it
That's
really?
a movie. I think it did. Didn't it?
Tetris in 2016?
Yeah, it did. Right?
And
it had an $80 million budget.
No.
No.
Untitled
Yeah, release
Tetris
date
sci-fi
5th of February 2016.
No.
So dumb.
No. But Battleship was a terrible movie, right?
I'll say exactly. No, I'm not saying it. Okay. But okay. Now
I just think that there are some rules that you have to follow in order for
right, and
the
that's the
movie to be
point of the
successful. I
podcast.
think
What
you
are
have to
your
have
rules?
a clear vision of bringing in the atmosphere or the environment or like the the oeuvre of whatever it is you're trying to replicate. So like when we're talking about Lego, it's a kids thing. You have fun. Don't make it super serious, and I think that's what translated well. With Clue, the comedy worked the best. And I think with Detective Pikachu, again, it was another successful comedy, but I think the thing that was the best about that was make the Pokemon the focus of the film and how the Pokemon interact with the world.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think that that's kind of the main focus. So either focus on a feeling or the environment or something that what is the main driving reason that people find that to be that genre, that game to be interesting, and make that the feeling that you're trying to tap into and like get the adrenaline hit of, So people who love Pokemon want to get the adrenaline hit of seeing the Pokemon. I don't think the Pokemon battle scenes were particularly great, but they have to be in there because of what the game is, right? But do they? Maybe that's a thing that's
probably
in the environment.
I think that movie did a good job at sending like a couple nods to some of I can't think of anything specifically right now, but that's what I remember about that movie. Just had a couple nods to some of the classic Pokemon things. I feel like
it starts with the Cubone joke.
Yeah, exactly.
Of like the Cubone wearing its mother's head, and everybody who's ever done had any interaction with the original Pokemon is just like, this doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I mean, gamers love that shit, right? Why do you think Marvel the Marvel movies are written the way they are, right? There's all the comedic hits in the Marvel movies are nods to the fucking nerds in the audience, right? Or at least the people who think they're nerds in the audience. Like the people who like, oh, I read the first issue of Spider-Man, I swear. I don't know. I
read the Wikipedia.
I read basically the people who have a base knowledge of the Wikipedia. I'm not saying I know anything about Marvel comics or
even if they don't have that, just think of themselves as nerds.
But right, that's how those movies were written, right? All the funny things are general nods to like the movie being self-aware of who's watching it, right? So obviously the biggest audience to please with these video game movies are the gamers, right? So you have to get it right by them, but gamers don't fucking know what they want. So I don't really know how to do it. But I think if you can distill it down, like you're saying, if you can distill a game down to what it feels like to play that game and then translate that over to the screen, I could see that working, right? That's sort of what the Detective Pikachu, again, we keep coming back to that movie because it's in recent memory, and also it might be the best video game movie of all time. I don't know. But again, that's not saying much, right? We don't like that. I don't know. I think we agree that it was just a mediocre movie, right?
First 45 minutes, I thought
it's a mediocre movie at best, but it's an exciting movie to watch. I had fun watching it. I like Pokemon, so.
I think the animated movie might have been better. The original.
Oh, I like the original one. I loved watching it as a kid.
And I think that's also the hard transition point is some of the like Japanese anime kind of games or translate better into anime movies and series. Like the Pokemon original series is a great show.
They're still making Pokemon movies, like the anime, but right. So that's actually the interesting thing with just the Pokemon series. If you look at it, they had the anime series that is obviously almost as long running, if not more. Like they were made almost simultaneously. Right. I think the game came out a couple years before the anime, or maybe just like a year, maybe like 6 months. I don't fucking know. Maybe they were made at the same time. So just to market each other. It was clearly whoever invented Pokemon is a literal billionaire. They're so spot on. But
Game Freak, where you at?
Game Freak, they're fucking geniuses over there. They're great. But yeah, so the anime, obviously a long-running anime, and so they have the resources to make the animated movies. So it translated, obviously the anime movies translate over pretty well because they're drawing from the anime that's already pretty well established. So, and they have long storylines there. So maybe having TV shows, like you were saying, might be the better way to go, because you can spend more time, right? If you make a movie, you only have so much time to tell the story of a 60-hour game, let's say, or like a 100-hour game. Let's say Final Fantasy VII. Let's say not Final Fantasy VII. Let's say Persona was made, which they also have an anime of. Persona 5, a super long game. Let's say they made that into a movie. It's a very story-based game, I would say. There's a lot of gameplay in it to boot, but it's mostly told through the characters, the story. That's actually what Persona 5 players like the most, is interacting with all the characters in the game. I would say that's probably the most fun part of the game. But they already have an anime of that. So I don't know. It's like maybe they've already... I think what you're saying, I would never watch a fucking TV show about a video game, but I think there would be plenty of people. There's certainly audience for that. People love TV shows now. Mm-hmm. I just don't like the idea of spending 60 plus hours just... I mean, I guess I already do that technically when I play a video game, right? But I feel more accomplished by playing a video game and beating it, and maybe getting all the trophies. That's like a goal of mine. Maybe I'll try to do that with Final Fantasy VII Remake. I feel more accomplished just psychologically. I know obviously it's basically the same thing, but I think it's because it's an interactive medium, I feel more accomplished spending my time that way as opposed to just watching something passively.
That I think that
it's probably not
a part of that, but is like people like going from the global to the granular, but don't necessarily get the same enjoyment from going from the granular to the global. Like if you're involved in making every single decision and moving your character through the way that you want to play a game, or even making decision making, even in the Uncharted series, right? You don't like you move through the game and there's no decision that you make that alters the path of the game, but the way that you move through doing things more stealth, more action, etc., like you feel invested in how you're playing as opposed to invested in the decision making tree, for instance. Mm-hmm. So, and then taking that granularity of the feeling that you get from playing through that and the immersiveness of that to going to a more global where you're sitting in way more passive, I think that makes it more difficult. Whereas going from like watching a Harry Potter movie and then playing the Harry Potter game, or even like watching Lord of the Rings and then playing any amount of the Lord of the Rings games, like you get to be part of that story in some different way, and you get to feel attached to it. Like there are plenty of, even like Lego Lord of the Rings, which has like there's no dialogue or anything basically, but you feel committed to being part of the movies, and it has like the Lego games do have fun game mechanics,
right?
So I think that that's the difficult thing But I do think there can be a way to translate certain pathways or certain segments of a game, or just being in the same universe, and like if you're playing a Halo game and you're doing one thing, and then off in the side there's a second thing that's happening in the background. Like if there was a movie that was made off of the thing that's happening in the background, it had the pace, it had the environment, it had all of the elements that make being in the Halo universe interesting, but had the fast-paced action that kind of makes Halo fun.
Mm-hmm.
Possibly that could be a strategy of getting it done. Again, I think it delves back to what is the feeling that you're trying to connect the audience with that they have when they play the game.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing what your audience is going to be, and knowing that video games, when they get translated to movies, I think are just going to be incredibly niche. I don't think that there's going to be a globally successful video game movie.
Yeah, like the Marvel movies, which are globally successful, right? In that way, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree. I don't think so either. I don't have high hopes for this Nathan Drake movie.
Although maybe because if you have a very charismatic character that you're really invested in, it could have a way of being better. Like, I don't think of the Tomb Raider movies as being representative of the video games, but I like Angelina Jolie in the Tomb Raider movies.
Mm-hmm.
She's cool.
Because she's a good actor.
Yeah.
Obviously. But what about Jim Carrey in the Sonic movie?
We're talking about big name. He was a highlight of that movie.
He probably was. It's probably the only reason to watch it. Well, I would have to say I'm of two minds. I know I said earlier in the podcast, oh, just make a different story in the same universe. But if I think about that more, I don't really give a fuck about the Star Wars expanded universe. Like, who gives a fuck about Salacious Crumb and all these stupid characters that someone spent hours upon hours writing about in the fucking expanded universe? All I care about is Luke Skywalker and Han Solo and Princess Leia and what's his name? Mace Windu and Yoda and shit. I don't give a fuck about that guy, but I know Samuel Jackson's cool and whatever. But
Anakin Skywalker.
I was talking about that. Yeah, you know, I like the main characters. Those are what I come to watch the movies for, even though I didn't watch Star Wars Episode 9. Because, well, I don't know why. It was December. Why do they release those movies in December?
They always release the new ones around Christmas time.
Summer is the time to go see movies, though, because it's nice out, whatever. But the same thing applies to video games in my mind, I guess. If they just make up another character in the Last of Us universe, now we're following not Joel and Ellie, but we're following Greg and Simone or whatever. And they're distant cousins of it. Like, I wouldn't give a flying fuck about that. I only know Joel and Ellie in those games. So I come to think of it, maybe you have to tell a familiar story of the characters in the game. But you don't have to tell the story of the game.
That's
like
a good
maybe you can tell the prequel to The Last of I'm using The Last of Us because
I think people liked Rogue One,
it.
For instance, which was a prequel to the A New
Right,
Hope, right?
But you know that fucking Darth Vader's gonna be in it, and it's like the most epic scene in the end. That was spoiled for me, maybe. I don't know. I did like that movie. I agree.
I thought that was the only redeeming movie of the Star Wars saga movies. Like, I didn't like Solo.
I didn't see Solo. I heard it was bad. That's why I didn't see it.
I think
But yeah,
people have
that's...
come around on it after watching the latest main entries.
But I mean, I don't know. I still have to see episode 9. I have to
Ridley
just
is
see it
surprised
through.
at where all the love went after the. After
Oh really?
Yeah.
I saw that headline. I was like, oh really?
Yeah, but this last movie was absolute garbage. So.
That's so sad. Because I think she was a really cool character. Obviously, I didn't see. Actually, I mean, I didn't really like her character. I think she did a fine job acting.
I think she's a charismatic actor.
Yeah, I'm not hating on Daisy Ridley. I'm just hating on the writing of her character. Just such a.
I think Rian Johnson sucks, and I continue to say that second movie was awful. It was garbage for the storyline.
Yeah,
it made no fucking sense. It introduced garbage characters, and then was at the end was just a remake of the opening fight scene on Hoth, which is why people left that movie theater going, "Oh my god, it was so great." That movie was garbage.
This is what Disney gets for trying to resurrect Star Wars. All right, it's a fucking relic of the past and should be left there. I'm done with it. We're done with Star Wars, people. It's over.
Make a Knights of the Old Republic movie?
Can it just end? Please. That movie came out in fucking 1981, right? That's when the first one came out.
The original one was in the 70s.
79 then. 77?
77.
God damn. That's so fucking old. Can we just end it? Please. I'm done. I love Star Wars too, alright? I fucking loved it when I was a kid. I still love it. But I think we can just end it there. It didn't end well. But it hasn't been good since 1981 or 1986. I think that's when the third movie came out, right? It hasn't been good since then.
I really think
I guess apparently the Clone Wars is alright. And that's another one, right? That's another side story, but also has the main characters in. But so
I like the original animated Clone Wars, which was the 2D one. The 3D one I don't like as much.
I don't like 3D animation generally. I think it can be done well. Like I think Overwatch has some pretty cool 3D animation sort of scenes, short films, short clips. I think it's not bad, but maybe that's because I'm so used to playing the game and it looks exactly like the game.
Oh, I can't wait for them to
important.
Just keep releasing these movies every year over and over and over and over again and making the same mistakes over and over because they're not giving these movies enough time for development. It's the same fucking flaw that was happening with the fucking DC universe where there's no united thought about how to build and go to someplace, and it's just like whoop, do everything all at once, and people aren't invested in it because I don't think that anybody in the DC universe was as interesting as
pun intended.
Tony Stark.
Yeah. No. Their character that is supposed to be as interesting as Tony Stark was fucking Ben Affleck.
He was a great Batman, but he's not Tony Stark. He's not funny and relatable and charismatic.
That's the character that compares to Tony Stark in that he's the rich billionaire and he's really smart and he's supposed to be witty, and he's supposed to be a fucking badass.
Yeah, witty. That's like
the Batman.
I thought she was with you.
I'm not wearing hockey pants.
That was a good Batman.
I love that. I love that movie so much. Can we just let's do a Batman trilogy review, please, Yvonne?
Yeah.
For the podcast.
Actually, yes. I'm totally down for that.
Okay. I'll try to watch it this weekend.
Batman edition.
Should we just...
Let's do
all
one
three.
at a time.
One at a time. It's too... They're really long
need
movies.
2 podcasts, actually, for the second one.
I think so, because it's the best movie
What's
ever
wrong with
made.
Hong Kong?
What's wrong with Hong Kong? Daddy says it. It makes so much sense contextually. Come on.
Pull the fucking script page and insert it into the video. That's what you needed to do.
I did that. It was a great... I fucking did that.
All right, guys, that's us because we're off the rails.
Please go. That was Dark Souls 3 Let's Play. Go watch that. That is actually a really funny episode of that. We need to bring back Dark Souls 3 on this channel. I would like to beat that game.
Power Strike. All right. Sure. I would love to watch you play that because I'm tired of being the front seat.
The person
it's
that
really hard to be the front seat and try and maintain a dialogue. I find it so hard.
Well, we went off on Bernie Sanders, R.I.P.
I also am watching back all these things, and like the further in or the more concentrated I get, the slower my talking speed is, and I'm just like, you sound like you're an idiot. Anyway, I hope to have the first of these Last of Us Part 2 up on Friday. That is my goal.
It'll come out.
I was not able to get to editing almost all this
sick.
week because I was leaking out my backside.
Well, that's why you edit on your laptop.
That's why I was playing Switch.
There you go.
How
It's
can I
perfect
edit when
for
I'm playing
food
Switch on
poisoning.
top?
All right, everyone. We'll catch you guys next week. Hope you guys enjoyed the podcast. Goodbye.
Bye.